Hello and welcome back to another 5th Trooper Battle Report. Today, instead of fighting Nick, I'm fighting my buddy Jeremy. He's been on the podcast before. Jeremy had the Rebels and I had Empire. We rolled and Rebels won the roll and he took blue. Jeremy, why don't you tell us what your army looked like?
I played Leia with Commanding Presence, bare bones trooper unit, 3 with Z6s, an airspeeder with a ground buzzer and uplink, 2 Rebel strike teams with a sniper, and 2 ATRTs with laser cannon.
Yeah, and I had Veers with improvised orders as my commander. I played Boba naked. I had 2 snow troopers with flame troopers, 4 stormtroopers with DLT-19s. I played 2 of the scouts, the full man group with the sniper attached, and then I played a sniper strike team. So here's what our objectives and battlefield cards and conditions looked like. And like I said, Jeremy had blue, and if you can see the video here, he picked the right hand side that we're looking at, and he had first up at getting rid of one of these cards. So Jeremy, what was going through your mind at this point?
The biggest thing is I don't like key positions. I don't like to have contact with the terrain. It's burned me a lot of times with my troopers, because with Rebels you'll get down to 2 or 3 guys, and then with Boba floating around I didn't want to have a chance of losing a total group at one time, so I didn't want to train.
Yeah, and I took out rapid reinforcements. I didn't really think that would have been a good idea when I was looking at what Jeremy was playing as far as troopers, and I wasn't sure where the battlefield was going to head. I didn't know if Jeremy was going to go all the way down or not. So
I got rid of disarray at this point. Even though I would have had a good sniper spot at the top corner of the board, I wanted to keep my group together instead of having to have to split them. And I wanted more control that way, so I wanted to also react to Jay's positioning, so that's what I got rid of.
Yeah, and I got rid of hostile environment so that I could have the distance on my snipers, which I understood gave him the distance too, but I really I thought that was the best idea with the setup that we had. And so we ended up with battle lines, recover the supplies, and clear conditions. I think everybody loves clear conditions. That's a pretty easy one to settle on. Battle lines, I think it just made the most sense for both of us with the way the terrain was laid out. So I think we both settled on that one. Yeah,
I didn't mind it. I like it better. Only other one I like is Breakthrough, but that's my second favorite.
Yeah, and I thought I was okay with recover the supplies too, because at this point I had a little bit of an advantage on Jeremy as far as he had the plane and he had the ATRT, so I figured I would have a little bit more of an advantage with the troopers.
Yeah, he definitely would. He would, and he was gonna have a spot. I knew at the end when we were placing, with the way the setup is, he was gonna end up having those snipers up top, so I had to take that into account as soon as I started placing troops. Immediately that was one of my concerns, and where I placed.
Yeah, that's that top, if you guys can see, that's that top left corner. There's actually like kind of a mountain with a barricade up there, and I had that side of the board with battle lines, and that clearly was where my snipers were gonna go.
Yeah. One thing I had to think about too with this setup was where my airspeeder was gonna go, due to the route it was gonna probably take. So I usually keep it towards the end of when I set up, but at this time I had to really decide early which lane I was going to try to fly down. No matter what he put where, I had to figure out where I was flying.
Yeah, and you can see on the board here, we have the recover the supply in the middle. The red circles are where I placed my 2 supplies, and the blue are where Jeremy placed his. I think we both placed them in reasonable spots with reasonable cover that were close enough to our battle line, to our deployment zone. And so, I don't know that we really placed these out anywhere where they shouldn't have been, but
no, because of where your snipers ended up, I was trying to take into account to the top shot down, and then I knew you had other groups of stuff, so I had to place, because you had more terrain to block with yours, and the only thing I really had was that barricade there in the middle. So
yeah, and I think here as we're watching the setup, I had the 2 in the middle, where up towards the left on my side, on the red side on the left, you can see there's a red circle there, so that's where one of my supplies was. So I was really trying to make sure I had enough troops up there where I could grab that one and the middle one. And then the one all the way down to the bottom, if you could see in the bottom, almost left side, there's some like mushrooms. That's where the other one is. And, I was thinking that between the unit I put down by the busted ATST and then the unit I put up by the barricade, that those would have been enough to grab those. That did not go as planned, as we'll see, but I still got it, but it was a little bit more difficult than I originally anticipated.
I had to change when we get that far, I had to change my way of thinking too, because I had to start going after that a little bit.
Yeah, and you can see here, so this was my first time actually playing the scouts, and so I got the scout one there. That was pretty nice. It was just a different way to see the board. And so like if you actually look to where my snipers are up in the corner, I actually got to put them in my deployment zone and then scout one up to actually put them behind that barricade. So I had a real nice sniper's nest up there.
Yeah, that was annoying, but it worked.
So here's the first round. I of course played maximum firepower, and Jeremy played.
Somebody has to save our souls, or our skins.
Well, both maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe both. And so I think this is one of those. I think maximum firepower. It's talked about a lot that it's kind of a first turn move. Along with Leia's card, but as you can see here, Jeremy did not play Leia's, and I played maximum firepower the first round, but I did not use it right away. I actually I held it back to let Jeremy kind of activate to see where he was moving before I went ahead and activated it. Yeah, so here you can see Jeremy moved up his troops to get that up to the one objective, and he grabbed it right there. And then basically right now we're kind of just trading back and forth some barbs and shooting. He's about to, so right here he could see my sniper scout in the full unit. He could actually see the gun hanging out. That was a miss on my part, and so as you can see with the dice roll, he shot really well with that ATRT, and I got all blanks on that one. And then down here on the bottom left, I'm moving into position to get that other one, and just kind of taking pot shots as I'm going down. And I got one on his ATRT.
I know what's going to end up happening here is in a second. The next move for me was down there in the bottom mushrooms. I've got a sniper unit, and they're just going to start pot shotting the troop that he just moved down towards that objective, and that's how I kind of keep him down there for a lot of the game. Luckily, they shot well down there this turn and in future turns.
Yeah, and so that cluster kind of mid-board, you see that gray block and a bunch of troops behind it. So I had a set of the scouts with a sniper in there. I had a snow trooper unit with the flame trooper in there, and I had Boba in there. I was kind of holding Boba a little bit back because I wanted to see what the board state was going to be before I started flying him out there. You can see by those trees, I threw my snow troopers up there, and I was trying to grab that other objective that was by the trees.
Yeah, and I just moved up and took the other one also right by the storage container up there. If you notice in the very center of the board, it looks white, and that's because I painted all my objective tokens, and that one's actually like a Hoth version, so it kind of looks weird, but that's what it is. Got a little tree on it. That's the one we'll be fighting over most of the game.
Yeah, and really during this part, we're just trying to position. We're taking shots here and there. You can see, a little while ago there at my stormtroopers with my DLT-19, we took a shot at his troops that had grabbed that objective, just trying to kind of hold down and give him some suppression so that he can't run too far with it.
Yep. You did. You kept doing that all game long. Waiting for my plane to start moving because that was the last thing of the round. There you go. There's where you're pot shotting over there with the snipers again. So I've already lost a guy off the upper unit of rebels where they claimed that by the container.
Yeah, up in the top right corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, most of this was just, like I said, us getting in positions. Here he is. He's using his sniper unit there up by that same container in the top right corner to shoot at my snow troopers who were grabbing that objective over there. He did get some suppression on him. And now I'm moving up. I thought here was where my mistake was. That unit I just moved up in the bottom left was another set of stormtroopers with DLT-19. I thought that my other troopers had got had the objective in hand, so I decided that I could start moving them towards the center, and that was a mistake there. I probably should have kept them and held them there until I knew for sure I had that objective.
And like all games, the first round or two is longer as you're trying to get into where we're going to fight. And here comes my airspeeder moving forward. Took a pot shot, nothing major.
Yeah, I shot at those scout troops on the left-hand side towards the top. They rolled really good for those, so he didn't get any hits there. There's him with the snipers taking out my stormtrooper unit down there that's trying to, by the mushrooms on the bottom, that's trying to grab that objective. So just keeping them from doing what they were meant to do.
Keeping suppression on them and taking 2 out of the whack. I was rolling well down there.
Yeah. And that was with, I did have cover too for some of that, and it still just wasn't working in my favor.
This is where you're moving Boba around the back of the board. You got him behind the tree now for cover.
Yeah, I was trying to hold him back and make sure he had cover and defense, was safe, basically just trying to make sure he's all right.
Here's where I made a mistake and I came out a little too soon. And you just started taking them out. There goes my first team of rebels. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, I think he got a little excited I'm pretty sure you were trying to just run out, grab that and run back. And it was just a shooting gallery at that point.
Okay.
So round 2, I went with push and Jeremy went with
No Time for Sorrows.
And so we were both at 2 pip. We rolled, and I believe I might have gotten this one.
Yeah, you did, because this is where I wanted to move up and grab it with my one free move, speed move, and that's not really.
Yeah, that's right. And so I had the snow troopers, and I just moved them up, and I just started burning his unit there and completely killed that unit.
This is where the planes started coming through with my airspeeder. And just lighten up stuff. Now I didn't do as well here. I've done better, but I still took out a couple. Here we go, 1, 2. Yep. Did better once we got past there. But you also started lighting me up too, because I was in range again.
Yeah, and so at this point, my snow troopers had grabbed that other objective, and I just pulled them all the way back behind that barricade to just so that they would be safe and have cover too.
And this is where I start backing up the one. I bring the one group backwards behind the barricade with the first objective claimed, but you're just destroying me in the middle of the board. Your flame troopers or snow troopers with flamethrower are just taking it.
Yeah.
And ATRTs I've got at different times during this round are putting down fire, and they didn't really move a lot. But through rounds 2 and 3, I wasn't hitting a ton with them, and that was disappointing. But I get suppression, but that was not what I was looking for. This is where you get your whole team behind that V of a barricade up there.
Yep.
And
yeah,
you took kind of control for round 2 and 3 at this point.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the center went, I had a solid game plan there, and it was working because, in my head, the worst I could do is just keep either of us from grabbing that middle one, I was thinking, and if I could stop him from grabbing one of the other ones, that was my worst case scenario. And then the best case would be that I could grab that middle one. And it was really working here, especially like Jeremy said, in that corner there, the V barricade. I had Boba, I had the scouts with the sniper there, and I had my other set of snow troopers that grabbed that objective. And we just kept kind of going back and hiding there.
Yeah, and you have my airspeeder just sitting there. So when you wanted to take shots at it, you could.
Yeah,
I got to fly by you next round too, so it's just a free shooting gallery.
Yeah, and then I started moving up. Once again started moving up towards the center with those other guys that were behind the barricade on the right hand side. And then as you could see towards the bottom video at the top, I started moving my other stormtroopers back to that other objective because I had miscalculated and thought that the first ones had it, and he ended up taking them out with his sniper unit, and so I had to go back for that, which was that put me back at least a round to do that.
Yeah, and I also started having to shoot with the desert version of my ATRT that I've got painted up. Instead of shoot those troops along with the snipers to I wanted you to drop it again. So I had to, from there on out, for the rest of the game, I'm shooting with both those at them.
Yeah, there was just a lot. We both pretty much got the objectives on our side. Well, I got the one and you got both of yours, and then I started working on the other one. So we were both pretty focused, as we should have been, on the objectives that were closest to our sides. And then we started really kind of wrestling over the middle one.
Yep, that's exactly it. I take out 2 snow troopers during this round in the middle, but you still had 3 there. You hadn't claimed it yet, but you were getting ready to. And this is where I backed up the ATRT in reverse for 1 movement and then shot again. Took out 1 more. And in this point here, we're getting ready. I got Leia. You can't really see her. She's underneath the mushrooms there in the middle. I backed up the 1 objective unit, which objective I took from the barricade backwards to her. And I'm getting ready right here. You're seeing the movement of the second group with the other objective. My plan here is to eventually get them underneath the mushrooms with Leia also. And that'll work towards future turns, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and I moved Veers up in that last turn, hoping to get him involved in that middle one, because I had him, and then behind the container there, I had another set of stormtroopers as a backup to go get that middle objective. And so here I played the Z6 jetpack from Boba's command, because I saw his speeder coming through, and with the weapon, with the impact 2, with the 3 red plus the impact weapon Boba already had, I thought that would be a good move.
Yeah, and I went with the bombardment with Leia at this point, because I knew that I'd be able to shoot hopefully up towards the group and behind the barricades, and the group down below on the other objective, and possibly Veers. I wasn't sure what was going to happen with Veers with my airspeeder coming through. So I did the airspeeder first, and then I was going to follow up with Leia depending on what happened. So here we go with the front and back of the shots from the airspeeder.
Yeah, and you took out my other scout unit there. That was that first shot, and then with your back shot, you shot Veers and got him for 1 and a suppression, which was huge.
Yeah.
So then here's Boba's coming, and he's gonna light up the speeder here. He got, with the impact, he got the 4 crits to get through to the armor, and you rolled a surge and 3 blanks.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty good.
Now we're getting ready. My next plan, at least some more point during this turn, is to move Leia out, get coordinated bombardment off. I want it on Veers, and then at the time I'm gonna go for those 2 snowtroopers in the middle, and I'm gonna go for the guys down the bottom. And I think that's about what we're getting ready to do here.
Yeah, and at this point I had collected in the bottom, I had already collected the other objectives, so we're both holding 2 now, and this is, right here, round 3, this is where the fight really started for that middle one. And Jeremy's just sitting here, he's just picking off my snowtroopers, and then he's suppressing down Veers, so he can't do anything. Right there, that was the action where the stormtroopers in the bottom by the mushrooms grabbed the objective.
Yeah, so we got Veers and Boba, and my airspeeder in the middle, snipers on the corners, basically for all of us, and then the rest of our main forces are both huddled on different sides of the board. So from here on out, it's like, all right, who's gonna move first? And see what happens.
Yeah, and I just kept picking them away. I still had those snipers up in the top left-hand corner, and I just kept picking away at... he had the 2 units with the objectives back by those mushrooms on the right-hand side, and I just kept picking away at them, trying to whittle them down, suppress them so they couldn't move.
Now, I was keeping an ATRT there, the one that's got the winterized Hoth decals to it. And what that's doing is I'm actually having to keep it there to provide cover to units from the snipers. Now, more not necessarily cover like it's going to give me, but I'm trying to block line of sight and provide the cover that an ATRT can give, and keep it out of range of the snow troopers that we just gotten rid of. And a lot of it is he's just rolling. There he goes again up there. He's just activating them and never moved them pretty much, and just six rounds straight shooting.
Yeah, and here, so I moved the snow troopers back because they had the objective, and really I just wanted them out of this. I felt at this point, if I needed to secure that objective, I had 3 units, potentially 4 that were up there for the middle objective, so I felt like I had a pretty good shot at grabbing that. And then, you know, I don't know if you guys saw it, but down by the mushroom maybe 20-30 seconds ago, one of Jeremy's units that had one of his objectives only had the unit leader left, and so that actually plays a role a little bit later here, but it's just interesting. I did end up whittling him down. Now here I kind of pulled back on Veers because I was thinking if I could get oh no, actually I think he ran here.
He ran there.
That's what happened. Yeah, he panicked.
Yep, he had to run for 1 turn because you rolled.
That's right.
None.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so I played ambush here. I was trying to get a jump on Jeremy.
Yeah, and I was more worried about the actual unit upgrades or activations, I mean, not trying to go first here.
So I gave the first activation to Boba, but then I decided to actually move the stormtroopers in the bottom and get them out of there because they had the objective now. And you can see I kind of put them in a straight line. There's actually a tree down there, and so I just was using that as for line of sight from his snipers.
Yeah, and I wanted the 3 activations because I was using commanding presence, which allowed me to get those snipers up top at the bottom of that that cargo container, and then I had 2 ATRTs so I could react to where Boba went. So then with HQ uplink, I was able to just go, all right, we're moving the plane or the airspeeder, and we're gonna move it down here and see what we can do. Obviously turning it at that point wasn't an option because I was going to take my 5th point of damage, and I only have rear guns at this point at this shot, or on this turn I should say. So knowing that was an option coming in, I was like, all right, we gotta move, shoot, and then just see what happens. And I'm running the end of the board too, which is always fun with a airspeeder. And
and so there I pulled Veers back a little bit behind some cover and out of line of sight so that he didn't get murdered right away. I was hoping that it was round 4, so I was hoping I could bring him back for something else.
One thing to note that a lot of people don't realize, unless you really use an airspeeder and you're actually playing it, is that due to movement and compulsory, as long as you don't, now this is a 6-round game, or mind you, but if I start at one end of the board, I can fly the entire distance of the field from top to bottom, as long as without having to worry about turning or anything else, as long as I only use 1 double movement. So I compulsory and move 1 more time. If all the rest of the times are just compulsory aim shoot, compulsory aim shoot, I don't have to worry about turning, doing a full hard turn, right hand turn unless I want to. And a lot of Imperial players or Rebels who don't use it don't realize it, which is an advantage to me, but it also, it's just a knowledge thing, is that you can, unless somebody's really like moving and then moving and moving, you're going to only see him go like one path straight down the board usually.
Now, at this point, I think now that I'm looking at it back, I was a little too conservative, I think, with Boba. I didn't want to get too aggressive with him because I didn't want to lose him. But I think at this point, instead of pulling him up behind that barricade, I probably could have put him right at the objective, because then I could have grabbed it the next turn and gotten out of there. But I was being way too just covering my bases too much.
Yeah, it was your first time doing it. And it's first time using Boba, and it's actually the second time I've actually seen it played, and first time I played against Boba myself. So, now here I was like, I'm going to use push, and I get 2 activations, and I wanted the ATRT at the other end, and I was all right. So that was my biggest thing, moving him and being able to activate that one when I wanted to. Because again, I'm trying to, at this point, we're in round 5. I am trying to get those guys down there in the bottom corner to drop that objective, because he has no chance of picking it up. If I can get them to drop it, it's over. He's down to 2 guys at the end of this round, and I don't accomplish that actually, which I was hoping to. But that's what this whole round went to, was me trying to do that.
Yeah, and so here in the middle, I just got my other scout units up to the objective. I was hoping they could hold out and grab, but I did have Boba as a backup, and I did have these stormtroopers as a backup. And then just to hedge my bets, because I didn't do it earlier in the game, I decided to start bringing up Veers as well, and to get him involved. Now, I'm sniping, again, his unit in the back. And I believe this is where I actually get him one of his units. He had that one unit left, and I had killed him, and he had actually dropped the objective towards the end of this round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'd have Leia pick it up. The other thing that's going on here is I have one sniper at the base of that Tainer unit that's near Boba, and I'm able to keep suppression going that way. Now, I don't always hit, but that's the idea, is that I'm shooting from that guy. He cannot be shot by Jason's snipers, and he's just sitting there. And basically, we have mines under cover, but and I have limited range compared to his, because of what I can see. But he's in the right spot right now, so.
Yeah, and so here, this is actually what just happened was pretty important. He actually moved Leia up from behind those mushrooms, which I thought was a potential change here for the game. But what I didn't realize at the time, and had actually kind of forgotten, was that these troopers, they can pick up 2 objectives, and there's no limit to the objectives they can pick up as long as they can grab them. And so going into the 6th round, we were basically, I was winning because he had the 1 objective. I had 2. He had dropped 1 because I shot him. And so going into this 6th round, the plan was to suppress Leia so she couldn't go back and grab it. But then the other problem was the other trooper unit was actually right next to it in the back. And it was just a dumb mistake that I forgot that you could grab more than 1.
And I also moved up in this round, not just with Leia, but with the other guys, and put them right on the objective with you.
Yeah. So in round 5, I had moved Boba up to grab the objective in round 6, and Jeremy actually made a brilliant move. He took his troopers and he moved them up into base combat with Boba. So the only thing that I could do was hopefully kill them, and it didn't happen. And we ended up tying in this game. So I'd say overall, really good game. Ended in a tie. We both had 2 points with the objectives, trying to fight over that one, and I think it went well.
Yeah, had a lot of fun.
All right, well, thanks everybody for watching. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.